In today's strength and mobility workout, I'm doing calisthenics, working towards the planche and the front lever, and also some lower body strength and flexibility for the hip flexors and hamstrings. And I'm going to be really trying to break through from those scapular push-ups to the scapular push-up lean and make some serious progress on the planche. My body is quite stiff and sore today. Yesterday was my first day of a new program, so a good new program phase will always challenge you, and you feel DOMS a little bit more in a new program phase. I'm definitely feeling it today. But I also had a terrible sleep last night. We got a puppy yesterday, and I had to drive a really long way to pick it up, and it kept us awake last night. So I'm suffering from a lack of sleep as well. But what I'm going to be doing today to try and help you guys, I'm going to be showing you my process for breaking through from the scapular push-up and making some real progress to the planche lean, because I've achieved my 5 sets of 8 reps with the scapular push-up now. But the planche lean, the scapular push-up to planche lean, is far more demanding, and it's where a lot of people go wrong with their planche training. I'm going to share with you guys my process, how I'm working to make real progress with this movement, because I had some really bad luck when I was bad preparation. I wasn't prepared when I was making progress on the planche, or forcing progress, several years ago, and I had a slap tear in my right shoulder when I was doing scapular push-ups to assisted tuck planches. Major, injury, very traumatic injury, and I've since then rebuilt myself without surgery and worked back up to a point now where I'm definitely as strong, if not stronger. I've got more muscle mass now than I did back then in my upper body, so that I can, do this calisthenics journey in a much safer way and in a much smarter way, because I didn't know what I didn't know back then, and I just wasn't prepared. So the scapular push-up is a movement that people, in my experience, and certainly what I did, just don't understand what the standards are before you progress. And you need a really solid scapular push-up with 5 sets of 8 reps before you progress to, planche lean work. And some people get that really easily. Some people just have a really good strength to body weight ratio, and it's just really easy for them with calisthenics. For me, it hasn't been like that. I weigh 90 kilos, which I think is 202 pounds. And my upper body strength was certainly not in a good ratio to that weight. I know I always get asked this when I say anything, so I may as well say it. I'm 5'10", which is 179 centimeters. So I'm pretty stocky, I guess, in that way. I'm a pretty, I'm a, what do you call it, a mesomorph. I put on muscle mass pretty easily compared to the average person. But I'm definitely not lanky. I'm not tall and lean. So yeah, it was the power to weight ratio wasn't in my favor when I was learning how to do the planche at first. And something that I'm going to do today that I've been neglecting is with my warm-up. After I've done the warm-up, that any of you guys watch these videos regularly are going to start to recognize, I'm going to do some core activation, which is something that I haven't been doing lately, because to make progress in the planche from here, you really need to be able to control your core. You need to be able to get into like a hollow body position as you're pushing like this, so that you're not pushing and your back is arching like that, you need to create this pushing motion like that. So I'm going to show you a few things of what I do to allow that to happen. So I've got really tight hip flexors, so I just do a little bit of this trigger point release with the Psorite every day. And it's pretty brutal, but it really does get in there. Oh. Oh man, it really gets in there, this one. These are... Woo. This takes my breath away. It's hard to talk through it. Okay, now I'll do the other side. So yeah, I started a new program phase yesterday because I could see some imbalances in my body that were starting to become problematic. My left side just isn't as strong as my right side. I was starting to feel it. Not the tennis elbow was coming, it is there, but like the onset of it. And then when I, did my workout last Friday, so you can see it, it's workout, it was Friday, it was day 12 of these videos. I strained, just got a minor strain, which is basically a micro tear, small tear, somewhere in the shoulder, in the bicep, or the anterior deltoid, or somewhere around the front area here. And because I was just overcompensating when I was doing pike push-ups, I was using too much of the right side. The left side wasn't helping enough, and so it just overloaded the right side. So I adjusted my program straight away. Yesterday was my first day doing it. So doing unilateral work, so swapping out pike push-ups for a seated dumbbell shoulder press. So I'm still working the vertical push pattern, but I'm doing it with weights, which is much easier to control the intensity, something that you can't do as well with calisthenics. And it develops unilateral strength, so it's impossible to favor my strong side when I'm doing a dumbbell shoulder press. Changed a couple of other things as well, did a little bit more supplementary strength for the shoulders. So that was yesterday, that was my first workout doing that, and I definitely feel like I got a great workout because my left side feels like it's had a really good workout, which is the weaker side. So that's really good. And I always do a little bit of mobility on my ankles in my warm-up because years ago I had an injury where I tore a ligament in my right foot called the Liz Frank ligament, and it reduced the mobility in my ankle when I got the surgery to fix it. It's the only time I've ever had surgery for an injury because it was a complete tear, total rupture, so the big toe was just not connected to the rest of the foot. A lot of people ask me about surgery, about my opinion on surgery for injuries, especially slap tear shoulder injuries, because I've had slap tear in both shoulders and I've rehabilitated and gotten back to a pretty decent level of strength without surgery. So, and my opinion on surgery comes from my very good sports physio friends. So friends of mine who are at a very high level in sports physiotherapy. So Nilesh, I've got 3 friends that are physios, that are sports physios. Very good, a lot of skin in the game. 2 of them are sports physios for some of the top sporting clubs in Australia. So they're at the top of their game. And when I asked them about their opinion on surgery for a slap tear, they all said, only if you can't do the rehab exercises. Because in 60% of cases, and don't quote me on that, statistic, but it was high. I remember it was more than half. These guys told me in 60% of cases, getting surgery makes the symptoms worse, not better. So what they do with professional athletes is, if they can do rehab without getting surgery, then they get them to do rehab. Because, you know, when you're dealing with something like a slap tear, it's all about making your shoulder as strong as possible so that it can regain its function and remind itself how to do what it's meant to do. My brother had knee reconstruction. Yanni, he had a knee for a completely ruptured ACL 5 years ago or so. And apparently now they don't even repair ACLs in soccer players or football players, for those of you over in Europe, because the results are so varied. So when they completely tear an ACL, they just do strength rehab and they go straight back out to playing. Okay, so I'm just going to do some core activation now. So I just get down into a hollow body, and it's all about just really, you know, this is part of a warm-up, just getting my core ready for what it needs to do. All right. So yeah, based on the people that I've spoken to that know way more about injury and surgery than I do, I have formed the opinion, and based on my personal experience, that surgery should be a last resort. And of course people say, oh, but I spoke to a surgeon and they said this. Well, you know, to a hammer, everything's a nail. And the thing is, you can never undo surgery, ever. Once you get surgery, that's it. You've had it. You cannot undo it. But you can try doing rehab. You can try doing strength training and working with somebody who knows how to fix the injury, who's dealt with it themselves, either personally or with clients. And then if that doesn't work, you can go and get surgery. But if you get surgery, you can never undo it. You can never go back. So I'll just do 1 or 2 reps of a scapular push-up just to warm myself up for the movement. Whew. I'm trying very hard to retract my scapula on those. There's so much to think about with that move. And I'll probably even only do 3 reps for the next set. I've got my shirt off so that I can look at the video after and see how I'm going with it. Because what I'm really trying to do is, once I do that scapular push-up, hold that position, but then as I lean forward, engage my core to create that hollow body, which within my upper body creates a little bit more of an angle, which is closer to the next progression. But to do that without piking, because that deloads the position. So if this is my hips, if I bend at the hips like that, that deloads the position. So if this is my shoulders, you know, I'm trying to, as I lean forward, create that round there, but not there. And it's really hard. It's really hard to do properly. So I think I'll probably just do 3 reps on every set now, but really work on that quality. Because if I just do heaps of reps, but without good quality, the quality will never come. Good quality, low reps, the reps will come. This is one of my favorite exercises to do at home because I don't have a squat rack. So I can't do heavy squats. But I don't mind because my legs are so much stronger than my upper body comparatively. So what I'm really doing these for is, this is a good way with dumbbells that you can still load up your legs. You can still maintain some good strength, but it's really good for flexibility as well, especially in the hip flexors and the ankle. And the hip flexors are a really tight muscle for me. So this is a great exercise for me. Also, because of the current split that I'm doing, where I'm doing legs with my straight arm strength, you can't go super heavy on legs and expect to be able to produce good strength with your straight arm strength. So, you know, if you wanted to train traditionally, if you want to really build your strength up, you do a leg day, of course. Of course, that's a better way to do it. But my goals, my primary focus is around upper body strength this year, and last year. And so the legs are just thrown in there just for maintenance, you know, because can't skip leg day. Can't be one of those calisthenics dudes. So yeah, you know, if I go, like if I was doing a barbell back squat here and I was doing some decent weight, I wouldn't be able to do good calisthenics as well. So yeah, that's how I'm working it at the moment. And again, on the front lever or the tuck lever, rather than trying to just jump ahead to an advanced tuck where you lay your legs out a bit and flatten your spine out, which makes it harder because it's less mechanically advantageous for the body. So rather than doing that, I'm working on consolidating my strength and being able to improve my retraction, so my scapular retraction when I'm in the position, which is very, very hard to do. And again, missing link for a lot of people. And yeah. Okay, so really trying for quality on each rep here. Legs straight, scap push up, and abs. That's very challenging for me. When I was, doing this the first time around, which is 4 years ago now, I just tried to force progression when my body wasn't strong enough. And so that progression, and then you tuck your knees in to your chest, and I just couldn't hold that position like what I'm holding. And I did one rep, went forward. Oh, later that day, couldn't lift my arm past here. 4 weeks later, didn't get any better. Got an MRI, bang, slapped it. So it's been a total rebuild process, Made me look at my upper body and go, I don't have any muscle mass in my chest. Back then I didn't. I had nothing compared to what I have now. Like my chest was just completely flat. There was no, I just never developed muscle in my chest because I never did hypertrophy training. And I just hadn't developed the raw strength required for it. So rehabilitated the slap tear, and then I just spent the last year or two just working on building as much muscle as I could in my upper body, so that when I start this journey again now, I have that muscle mass and that raw strength that I didn't have before. So it's a good place to be. With these, to be honest, I just bang them out. I'm not worried too much about tempo or anything like that. I just want to think of doing my best to keep a posterior pelvic tilt and driving that knee as far forward as I can. Because if I do those two things, then the posterior pelvic tilt ensures that I'm getting a really good flexibility training in my hip flexors on the rear leg, and driving that knee, as far forward as I can ensures that I'm going full range of motion and getting good flexibility development in my ankle and hamstring and glute on the front leg. And of course, I'm developing strength while I do it. And of course, because I talked, I've got no idea how many I did. Actually, I shouldn't say no idea. I did about 8. But I'm not worried about the tempo too much. For me, this is not an exercise that I need a lot of improvement on. So I save my main focus for the tuck lever and the scapular push-up. So made so much progress with that. Like I could never get up into that tuck lever position and then retract my shoulder blades. And though I still want to improve more from where I am now before I go to the advanced tuck, but it's come so far. So it's really important to, have your goal and really don't settle for lower standard before achieving that goal. Of course, I'm talking movement skills like calisthenics and flow and things like that. If you're not training regularly, it's very, very hard to achieve those high standards, maybe impossible. But I think too many people are caught up on getting to the next progression, which just leads to frustration and injury. If you can just work on what you need to work on and focus on getting as strong as possible, then the next progression just lays itself out for you and you can get there. I'm really not going to know how well I've done at this until I rewatch this video, of course. That's the whole thing, But that's why filming yourself is so important. You've got to work with whoever's teaching you, understand what you're trying to achieve, and then you need to see if you're doing it. Because just doing the reps, doing the sets, doing the days, it's not enough to achieve high levels of strength and flexibility and skill. You've got to be aware of what you're doing. What are you actually producing, despite what it feels like you're producing? What does it look like? What's going on there? Are your hips in the right spot? Is your scapula retracting as you come forward when you think that you're protracting? There's a lot of things to be aware of, and this attachment to the process rather than to the goal. So instead of just thinking, I'm going to hit this in 4 weeks and I'm going to get that, unlock that progression, instead being attached to the process and reviewing daily, weekly, making sure you're on the right track. I think that's a better way to approach it all. I'll just do my weak leg first as well. So whenever you see me do leg exercises, it's always the weak side first. And then when you do the same reps, same weight on the strong leg, the imbalance works itself out over time. Okay. If I didn't have to do these split squats, I wouldn't be so out of breath. But, it's good. Burning calories. It's difficult to convey how hard I'm trying. And I won't know how good I'm doing until I review these videos. But I'm trying so hard to maintain protraction, come forward without bending my knees, keeping my hips down, glutes engaged, and then really engage the abs and try and get as much curve in my spine. I should say as well, for me, that's very hard to do because I've got something called spondylolisthesis in L4, L5. So if I relax, my spine goes like that because my L5 vertebra sits posteriorly, so it causes my back to go like that. So it's quite hard for me to get in that flexed position, especially in the lumbar spine. But I feel stronger, and you know, I had 5 sets of 8 reps of the scapular push-ups with decent technique, so hopefully this is okay. Yeah? All right, that's 5 sets, and I did a bit better on the 5th set just then than I did last week, so it's good, you know, it's progress. I'll try for 1 second longer on each hold in my next workout. Now, the big test. What can I do for the last set of the scapular push-up to lean? Let's see. Oh. in the least, I have a better connection and understanding of what I'm doing here than I did the first time around. I'll be interested to see how much my bum raises and how much, you know, if I lose protraction when I come forward. It's a journey, not a destination. It's a real journey, you know. I know so many people who, with injuries like what I've got, all but given up. You know, they don't. Yeah, I guess it's a shame that it's so hard to come by the knowledge of how to fix it, especially when people are getting really conflicted advice. People come to me telling me the advice they've had from their PTs or physios, and it's not very good advice, unfortunately.
You need to watch her and close your bedroom door because she can eat something and try.
So I just reviewed a couple of videos of the scapular push-ups alone, and it's not good enough. I'm not ready for it yet. I've got to go back and do more scapular push-ups because I'm not getting full retraction at the bottom, and I'm not getting good protraction with that hollow body position on all my reps. It's not good enough. So if I continue on that road, it leads to another injury or frustration at best. So it's not worth it. You've got to be honest with yourself. So I'm going to really work on maximum retraction, get those shoulder blades touching, and then maximum protraction with that hollow body. Hopefully in another 4 weeks, I'll be able to lock it in and move on to those leans. So those that's a really good pairing for me at the moment, because I want to do some strength work on my legs. So, you know, a dumbbell good morning like that is a really good way to hit the glutes and the hamstrings, but it's also a really good loaded stretch for the hamstrings. So, and I also want to, you know, build more compression strength, which also helps with hamstring flexibility. So it's just this efficiency way of approaching everything I do. So, you know, I can do my pike compression lifts and then superset into the good mornings, and I'm getting a really, really good flexibility superset for my hamstrings for a pike position, but I'm also strengthening my glutes and my hamstrings as well, and my hip flexors. So it's like bang, bang, bang. That's a really hard supplementary exercise for the tuck lever, for the lats and mid to lower traps, rhomboids. Really good straight arm scapular strength pulling movement. And this is the part of the workout where I've really just got to, you know, put my head down and do the best I can do, because it's very easy for me to just let my rest periods go for too long now, or to kind of go, oh, I've done a good workout, and stop, which would still be fine, of course. Some is always better than none, but you know, there's no reason why I shouldn't do the whole workout today. Except that I only got 5 hours sleep last night. Compression strength is more effective when you're leaning as far forward as you can and lifting a small amount, rather than sitting back here and going like that. All right, so straight into the good mornings. And I'm really, although I'm getting some strength work here, I'm really doubling down on slowing down and spending a little bit more time in the end range, so that I get a good loaded pike stretch. Ah, come on. Ah. So that's another really nice pairing, because the hanging L raise, of course, it's a core exercise. You know, people do it for ab strength, but it's also for hip flexor strength as well. And it acts like an end range strength movement that when you then go straight into a Jefferson curl hold, you get increased range because of the, you know, the neural inhibition for some of the sensory neurons that restrict flexibility in your hamstrings. And of course, like, the Jefferson curl hold is far more intense than Jefferson curl reps. You don't start with a Jefferson curl hold. It makes sense to start with reps first, so you just get some exposure and then you come back up and you get used to the movement. But I'm past that point, so I can do holds. And I really segment it because for me, I'm looking for a lot of work in my spine as well. So when I get to that point where I feel like my body just wants to hinge at the hips and I don't want to get more flexion in the spine, I like stop there and then try to get more flexion in the spine so that I can really help to not fix, manage my spondylolisthesis. Yeah. may try and get some more flexion in the lumbar on the way back up too. I'm really not having much rest at all at this stage. Just trying to get through it. Oh. Woo! Alright, so I'm doing some work for my knee stabilizers here now. And I haven't done these for ages, so I don't know exactly how much I can lift, but always doing the weak side first.
Alright, you watch our little darling. That's not the safest plan, so you might, we don't want you to go into the box, got the kind of website.
Oh gosh. Okay. So that wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either because I lost my balance a few times. But I'm just really looking at my hips to make sure that my hips are level.
What's your Keanu? Watch your Keanu. You're not watching it. I don't feel safe to leave. You wanna watch that? Okay. I'll be back. I'm going. I'm not watching Betsy. I'm not watching Betsy. Okay, Bobby? I'm not here. I have to take her out. She's really unhappy. She keeps growling and gets violent.
So that muscle, the oblique portion of the VMO down there, when it's weak, your knees collapse during squatting and things like that. And it responds best to higher volume, lower weight. So I'm just going to do 3 sets, 20 reps. Come on. Haven't done these for ages, but it's really good to do like at least just one program phase a year where you do structural balance work like this. Trying to get in the video, buddy. Woo! All right. One more set. Thanks, mate. You gonna do some step ups with me? Yeah? No? Ah, woo! So, next workout, definitely going to nail those scapular push-ups.